check stub showing the year of working.
Okay.
Things we've asked for her are like UAs, dental exam, KBH. We had an incident at the day program where she did a pregnancy test, and it was reported it's positive. So I don't know that. I tried to take her to do another one, and they reported that if it was positive due to her age, they would have to report that to the authorities, so she refused to do it. So I just want you to be aware, if she's out there, she could be pregnant. You know, I don't know where she's at, I don't know how to get her back here, you know, but if you know where she's at, or you see her, I would try and make sure you get a pregnancy test. I know you had concerns about her using and stuff, but like, we did a UA and a hair follicle when she came back from your sister's that one time, you know, where she looked like she was under the influence, and both were negative.
Really?
Okay. And her hair follicle goes back 90 days, so I don't think she's been using. Or if it is, it's something that we are measuring for. Sometimes like K2 would be one thing, but we even usually do tests for alcohol too, so that part made me feel good that maybe she's not using, maybe this is all mental health stuff. You know, so, and she tells us that you know where she's at all times, that she has contact with you all the time, and that you will always know where she's at, is what she reports to us.
Yeah, only way that would be possible is, I mean, spiritually. I mean, I just talked about it and know if she's okay, but I don't know where she's at. I'm trying to get from my sister, when she ran away, oh my gosh, either 6 or 7 times at my sister's. A police officer instructed us to put a Apple chip in her backpack. So my sister set her up since she was having issues with stealing. My sister got her a backpack, like a care backpack, since she was choosing not to stay at home. And she planted that chip in the backpack so we could see where she was going.
Right.
So she could be referring to that, but she gave up that backpack a long time ago. So we were able to track where she was going.
That way.
And my sister has a list of the addresses from that Apple chip. I'm trying to get that from her.
Okay.
She's going through a lot of things right now.
What's the relationship with you and your sister? Is it Haley?
Yeah, Haley. She's my younger sister.
How old's Haley?
We're all 2 years apart. I'm 32. She's 26.
Well, you know, Ray reports that the friend of Haley's that was living with her sold her for drugs. Like, had her have sex with her boyfriend for drugs.
That,
I mean, do you believe that's true?
I do believe that's true. And
Does Haley do drugs?
No, not that I know of.
But the girlfriend that was staying with her friend?
Yeah, her name is Yolanda. And my sister had been helping her out. She was in like a pimping situation, and she brought her to one of the birthday parties for the kids, and I noticed that there was an odor. So her guy had been cheating on her and gave her something, and she's pregnant. So, and I believe this guy is abusive. I met him one time, and I did not like him. I talked to my brother-in-law, which is Haley's guy, and I was like, bro, I don't think you should let him back in this house, period. So if that happened, and we were on an understanding with that, then Yolanda had to take her from the house because that guy was not allowed at the house for Yolanda's safety and Soleil, which is my sister's daughter. And, so I know my sister was she was paying Yolanda to babysit while she was at work.
So you feel like that really could have happened?
Yeah, I do.
So, I mean, she's been traumatized repeatedly throughout her life. It's kind of what it sounds like in that aspect, which, you know, makes her more hypersensitive about being sexually active at a young age. And
yeah,
I just am terrified that she's out there and she's pregnant. You know,
the other places that I check, like when I've gone out to look for, I've checked some of the addresses that my sister had given me the last time she ran away. Like I actually showed up to the property, kind of scouted it out. There was one place up in 21st and Hampton where I thought she was, I just felt in my spirit that she was there. I didn't actually see her, but I noticed a vehicle, and I'll have to go through because I have videos. I documented some of those addresses I visited, so I have at least 3 of them.
Okay.
But the other places I check are the skate parks.
well, and we have a person, a specialist, that all they do is their whole job is to chase runaways. And they work with our trafficking kids. And so, she has been kind of hanging out at the skate parks, kind of looking for her. So, yeah, that's one place that, and they search for her every day. They try to find her every day. And they posted her picture on the National Exploited and Missing Children's. So her posters, I talked to Grandpa yesterday. He said, somebody sent her pictures on a poster. I'm like, yep, it's everywhere in the United States. So that way, hopefully we'll get calls if she's out of state and somebody will see that. But, and we have an exploited missing children, a national person that's assigned to her as well. So they call me all the time, like, what's the update? What do you know? Who do you know?
Okay.
So.
I was concerned because the addresses that I was seeing from what my sister sent me with that chip, she was moving all the time. I mean, my sister would be like, this is where she's at, and I'd have to go there quickly because she'd be moving again. So whoever she was with or giving her rides, it looked to me like it was a drug deal.
Okay.
Like, you know, bounce.
Well, like she's being trafficked. Like drugs, yes.
Or, yeah.
Which is very, very highly possible. Especially in this part of the country, it's very susceptible. And these kids, they particularly target. Like, I've had them pull up and snatch kids out of our parking lot. Like, kids will run. Like, we had some kids on call one night, and we were back here, and they refused to get in the car, and they ran around the front of the building, had already called their pimp, and they picked them up at the front of the building with us standing there present on the phone with 911. Still took those kids, knowing we took their tag number, we saw their car, we saw their faces. They're that abrasive around here, and they target these kids because these kids will be compliant, and these kids haven't felt love and structure and stability, and so these kids, hey, I'll give you whatever you want, I'll give you drugs, you know, I'll be your boyfriend, and they just want to be loved, and they go. And it's frightening as I'll get out, and which is why I really try to avoid her sitting around here bouncing placements every night. And I try to avoid her being in day programs because those kids will solicit other kids. And like she was given that day program, she was placed out at Rent House, and they wanted to keep her. It's a beautiful brand new facility. She had her own bedroom, services in place immediately. She refused because she wanted to bounce every night and hang out with those people all day, those kids all day. The court put a no contact or a no run order in place, so she knows if she comes back, she could get locked up. So she's probably not going to come back on her own. And unless we can locate her and get her picked up,
I don't think she's going to come back. and contact any of us because she knows we'll turn her into the police.
Right.
And she'll be back here. I mean, that was
Well,
something that my other sister, Serenity, when she's the one that called and made the reports when she showed up.
How's Serenity?
She's 24.
Okay.
You know, she's like, I don't know what to do. This was on the weekend when I texted you first time, and she's like, I don't want to betray Addie's trust. I want her to feel like she has a safe place, but at the same time, I don't want to be in trouble. And the stuff that she's saying around my daughter is not appropriate. And I was like, you're gonna have to call her in. She's like, well, I don't want to be the bad guy, because then she's not gonna come here anymore. And she surprisingly still came back that second time. She ran away.
Right.
But that's when Serenity was like, she's here again. I'm calling the police, but she says that somebody's about to be here to pick her up. And so
Right. She has a network of people. And for a kid that her age to have a network of people is frightening.
Yeah, it is.
And then she's ended up in other states already, so that means she's probably already involved in trafficking at some point.
Yeah.
And then, you know, she could be lost because we are the hub for the nation. And partly that's because, you know, we have this big United States and we're smack dab in the middle. And we have all these highways that go to New York, Chicago. You know, we are the central of that, and we have a lot of moving parts. You know, there's export, you know, trucks that go. And so our numbers for trafficking kids is higher than other states, than most states. And that's the reason why. It's because we have the highway network. And so, yeah. And then there's so many rest stops and truck stops that pick them up and take them and move them.
I went through that as an adult.
You were trafficked as an adult?
Mm-hmm.
So you fully understand exactly what...
Yeah. And that's why when I was talking to, that was the misunderstanding I had with my grandfather. It was, when I told him she didn't need a phone, that was the first part. I thought it was scary that he wanted to give a 10-year-old a phone.
Right.
And all the monitoring that I had to do because he didn't know anything about that. So when those conversations with Angel first started, that's when I started getting scared. And she's so smart, and she just jumped around all of my locks, all of them.
Yeah. Well, she's a very bright kid, and she's a very street smart kid. Well, an Angel pled to a lesser charge because his charges were aggravated battery and lewd and lascivious contact with a minor, and so he is now going to be charged. Oh, this is his current charge. That's what they're going to lewd and lascivious, and aggravated battery, where it was ag rape.
And so
yeah, this is what he has pled to. And so he goes to court back in September. So then we'll know what that will look like as far as if he serves time, if he doesn't serve time, his probation, what he would get for that. But part of that is that she refused to testify against him. She refused to talk to anybody about it.
And we had conversations about that. I told her she needed to be brave and to do it, but at that point, I don't think she was being honest with me. I was afraid that she had lost her virginity to this guy. And
I'm sure she did.
And she had emotional attachment.
I'm sure she does.
And she said that she did not. Before I even touched on that subject, she goes, Mom, you don't have to worry about me. He wasn't the first one I had sex with. And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, the first time I had sex was when I was 10.
10, yeah.
Which means that was before she got to me.
Well, she walked a little Grandpa, and Grandpa will tell you she manipulates him, you know. We love her and I want to take care of her. And I told him yesterday, do not give her any money. Period. If she calls you, don't give it to her, because that will just keep her out on the street longer if she has support. And he said, okay. I said, because I know you. And she'll call you, Grandpa, can you just wire me? Okay. You know, I want you to be able to have food and eat. I said, but you can't. You have to be tough love because it will just end up. But I am worried she's pregnant. And we have some options. We have some girls' facilities for pregnant teens where she could go to school, and it's a group home type setting that take in pregnant teens. She could go to secure care for 6 months. I don't know if secure care would take her pregnant, is my concern if she's pregnant. Then we might have to look at the other option of a girl, it's called Gerard House. There's 2 of those that are homes where it's full of pregnant moms. They learn how to be a parent. They do parenting classes. They get their education. They can work. And then they transition them out to the Wichita Children's Home has a Bridges program that has their own apartments. And so if they do well in the pregnant home, then they can eventually transition out to independent living, where she could have some of that independence if she wants to do that.
So what would happen with the baby? I mean, if this baby makes it full term and nothing else happens, and with her being in state custody, what happens?
If she is not running and she stays in placement and does what she's supposed to do, the baby stays with the mom. And she could continue to raise that baby while she's in custody and be released with that baby. Or if, say, she wants to come home with you and you're okay and know that she has worked her program, has done therapy, is not going to run with that baby or put herself at risk, then she could come home with the baby with you. So, I don't know if she is or if she isn't. We tried to get her tested and that didn't work out. And so, because she was afraid they'd find out who the dad is or who she'd been with, because they said, we would have to tell the authorities, but they would have to tell the authorities anyway. Like when she came into custody, they'd have to tell the authorities if she was pregnant. If you took her to the doctor, they would, because she's so young.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean she'd have to give them the right name. Doesn't mean, they would be able to do anything with that, but it's just to try to prevent kids from being abused. So, do you know where you want to do your clinical interview? Do you have a medical card?
I do not. I usually just go through the Sedgwick County Health Department.
Okay, I don't know that they do therapy, so you're gonna have to figure out who you'd want to do therapy with. Some do sliding scale fees, like WSU does. I can get you a resource list. I'm gonna have you fill out this, and I just kind of do these general case plan diagnosis. So fill out your name, date of birth, telephone number. Leave these blank because this will be us. This will be whoever you choose. And when you decide, I'll give you a resource list who you decide to use for that to do your clinical. Then I'll make a blank copy, and then I'll use it when you say, "Hey Kim, can you send a referral to this place?" Okay. So if you'll work on that, let me go get you a resource list. I don't know how we do. Does better than the last. Let me go get a resource list for you that can kind of come up with some suggestions for that.
decline on this.
Okay. What?
I've been through the ringer with this so many times. I would really just like to speak to a lawyer because this is, I still feel like I'm being treated like a criminal. I know that I have a past, but that past is behind me. I'm already done with this. So I have had multiple psychiatric evaluations and passed them with flying colors, lab data, reports, social history. I've been honest about all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Last year I went through all of this with Addie when they came into my home. I've had psychological evaluations, case plan, treatment plan. That was years ago, like 10 years ago.
Okay.
So I guess I'm just wondering why this is all.
Those are just all things that we deal with the sync system, like a mental health diagnosis. You have a drug history. We do a case plan, which is this. These are court orders. So those are the things that are covered. Lab work, are you doing UAs or negative? You know, just information that we would share back and forth between the two of us to treat you with any treatment provider you work with. It's not to penalize you. It's not saying you're a bad person. It's just kind of the stuff that we, social history, progress notes. It's just the things that we work with back and forth when it comes to working with therapists for people.
Yeah, but I'm already done with all that. Like I don't.
Our court, in order for her to move home with you, the court is going to want to see, because the court, last they know, is your rights were terminated.
But we already have had therapy, and therapy was not working for Adelise. We've already tried therapy.
Okay.
So none of that is going to work unless she's willing to do it. So we're still at a standstill.
So at this point, you're not willing to work court orders? Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, I would like to know. I would like to get a better idea of what's going on before we proceed. We don't even know where she's at right now.
Okay. I just have to report to the court because they wanted to know. The court asked specifically, what is mom willing to do? What is mom doing? Has she started orders? You know, they didn't even know that we had guardianship established. And they wanted to know, was anybody involved with that or made any decisions to say that that was appropriate since your rights have been terminated? You know what I'm saying?
That's my concern. So why is the court pushing me around when,
I don't think the court's pushing you around, but the court's never going to give you your child back or anybody in your family, and she'll just go into foster care and age out of foster care. And they won't include you in that if you're not willing to work with them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You can refuse. You don't have to
Well,
do it at this
okay,
point.
What if I sign this and she's dead? What if I sign this and we find her somewhere on the street and she's dead? What then?
Well, all this is to help you get services in place. I mean, I hope to God we don't find her dead. Because I'm terrified every day that she is out there. All this is so I can set up services for you. And so I can communicate with service providers that you select. It's not meant to hurt you, it's meant to help you. And if you don't want to sign it and you're not comfortable doing that at this point, we can wait on that.
I'd like to wait on that.
Okay. Here's a list of service providers. This is your case plan task. These are your orders. This is what the judge has ordered for you to do. And it's stuff you're already doing, maintaining a house, having a job. So really the only thing on here that you're not already doing is a clinical interview and assessment. Okay?
I did one last year though. I've still got the report if you'd like it.
Who did it last year?
I can't even remember the name. I've done so many I can't keep them straight, but I've got the paperwork. It's in my safe right now. I'm gonna bring it.
But in order for me to even talk to anybody, I have to have a release. And so that's what that's for. This is a resource guide, a list of all the service providers that are kind of in the Wichita area for different things. just meant to be a resource guide. Here's your court orders. What else do you need from me right now? What can I do to be helpful to you?
I don't know.
And I'm doing what I can do as far as maintaining contact with law enforcement, and working that route with our people that are out there searching for her.
So, since there's a lockdown order, where would she go then once she's found? Because the judge said 90 days, right? Instead of the 180, so she'll be in a lockdown facility for 90?
I don't know. Hey.
One more minute.
Okay.
I'm Christy, by the way.
This is my partner, Christy.
Hi.
She's the one your daughter likes. I'm the one your daughter doesn't like.
Because
It is what it is.
Because you set the rules.
I set the rules, and I call her.
I set the rules.
She's the marshmallow. She's the marshmallow mommy who lets her do. Okay, I'll stop. We'll get this. I'll get you lunch.
I gotta feed the kid.
You do.
I gotta feed the kid.
Right, but if I say I'll get you lunch, it's totally different if you get her lunch. I don't know why, but she likes you better than she does me. But
She obviously don't like me right now.
basically, you can lock her up in a secure care facility for 6 months. The problem we're going to have is we have one secure care facility in the state, and it's in Junction City. And they had a bed come open for her Thursday last week, and I had to pass on that bed because I didn't have her. So she's on a waiting list to go into that bed. So when she comes back, she's going to bounce every day in a different bed, doing the same thing she's doing until they could get her into a facility. If she's pregnant, they may not take her in that facility because that's a liability on their part to put her in jail pregnant, basically. You know what I'm saying? Where people fight and things like that. So I don't know about this facility, but other facilities we've had in the past will not take pregnant people. Because they also don't want to deal with OB appointments and things like that while she's in jail. So if that's the case, then she would go to the pregnancy home, which is a group home.
Is that a lockdown facility?
It is not a lockdown facility. Only lockdown facility we have in the state is the one secure care facility. So, and her judge is out of Butler County, and I'll tell you, I don't know those people. I don't know anything about that court system. It's really hard. Like, I wrote a detailed court report, pages, giving all the history of everything from the past case, so they would know exactly how she came in, where she went, when you did guardianship, when, her past mental health history. And their comment was they were all upset about where did she go after here? What was this date? Like, I could give a crap about that date. I give a crap about this kid, so, and this little section here, because I did not update that. Well, I don't think that makes sense. She doesn't go to daycare. So, okay, I didn't do that. But I provided all this other information for them. And so they don't know me from Adam. I don't know how they work. It's different than in Sedgwick County. And so, I don't know what to expect from them. But they were like, you better have that paperwork done, and you better have her in a secure facility. Well, I can't put her in a secure facility if she's not here. But I have the paperwork done. She's already on the waiting list. I also have a paperwork done, and she has a therapist assigned that will be a trafficking therapist. One that works with girls who've been in that situation. So I have some resources for her lined up, if she comes back and if she stays. But I have to know if she's pregnant or not, because that will determine whether she gets to go to secure care or if she gets to go to a pregnancy home. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we're done. We're gonna get out of here. So, any other questions you have for me right now? Okay.
But
You take
I
those.
will reach out to you here in a little bit
Okay.
after I've had a minute more of just. I will let you know if I hear Katie. If you do, you can grab it if I can or not.
Yes, I'm worried about that.